Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you joining us from all around the world, you're very welcome to our webinar talking about LinkedIn and intelligence and sourcing and looking for candidates, and as usual, trying to find smarter, clever, more effective ways of recruiting and making more money and making more placements. Shane McCusker here from Intelligence Software. Also on the line is my colleague Xray Strauss. So we'll be conducting today's webinar. It should take about 45 minutes. We're encouraging as many people as possible to interact and engage with us. There's a chat function on the right-hand side of your screen. If you've got any questions throughout, just type it in there. Vip will answer as many as he can online, or we'll just bring it live and introduce it into the audio stream. Today we're going to be talking about what LinkedIn is, how it works. We're going to be talking about how you find people on LinkedIn and what you do with them. We're going to be talking about X-ray searches, which is really space-age term for using search engines to search specifically LinkedIn, but other sites as well. We're going to be talking a little bit about Google Alerts. If we've got time for question and answer, we'll do that. And that's sort of where we're at with today. Before we kick off, we'd like to run a quick poll of those people participating. I think VP can stick it up at this moment in time. I can't see it from my screen because I'm doing screen sharing. Really, we want to know is how much you use how much you use LinkedIn. Do you use it every day? Do you use it vaguely or not at all? Do you have a profile even? It's quite interesting. We've run a couple of other webinars like this. Some people may have been involved in it. Hopefully, it'll encourage you to use LinkedIn more and at least understand it and see the benefit of it. And we'll just see how that goes. So if the poll's up on the screen, maybe you could click something that appeals to you right now. How are we getting on there with the results, Vip?
Yeah, we've got about 80% of the people, 84% of the people has voted. It's still going. I'm going to keep it open for another couple of seconds. And then I'll display the results on the screen. Unfortunately, someone asked me where is the option for all day, every day. We don't have that option. So I think that is probably several times a week for you then. Okay. So that is, by the looks of it, everybody, and if you will look at the screen, you will see there is the results from it. So just to read it back for you, Shane, who can't see it, we have how often do you use LinkedIn? Once a week, 14%, several times a week, 56%, once a month, 7%, I have a profile but don't use it, 16%, and never, I'm not on LinkedIn, about 9% of the audience today.
Okay, so we're getting a good spread of people. Some very active users, some minimal users, or not at all users. That's interesting to see. Okay, I'll try and make everything as applicable as I can to as wide a cross section. Right, let's just talk briefly for those people who don't use LinkedIn, who don't have a profile. What is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a social site. Its content is made up of people creating profiles on it. A profile is a bit like a CV, but it is not a CV. I'll mention more about that later on because it's quite critical. Worldwide, they've got about 90 million profiles at the moment. In South Africa, I couldn't get an up-to-date stat on it, but I know last June it was about 800,000. I think it's probably over 1 million now. We put 900,000 to be conservative. All the stuff we're going to be talking about today, and in fairness, most sourcers seem to just use the free LinkedIn services. With a bit of cleverness, you don't need to pay them any money. You can pay them money, and the way that LinkedIn is maneuvering itself, it is trying hand over fist to try and modify itself to try and get as much money as humanly possible because they're hoping to launch the company on the stock exchange later on in the year. As a result, the site itself has been in a constant change of flux. We were noticing new changes, which to our detriment, unfortunately, last night, and they're constantly trying to lock things down and make it a little bit more difficult for free access users to use it. But that's it. We'll show you ways and means you can get around these measures. It's built on connections, so we'd probably, I think the general consensus is it's good to have a lot of connections on LinkedIn. The more connections you have, the more people you can connect with and the more visibility you have. If you're first degree connected to somebody, i.e. you've said this is my friend or this is somebody I know, then you can see all their profile and you've got better access to the people that they know. So we'd be encouraging people to build long networks. There doesn't seem to be any disadvantage in not connecting to people, so build plenty of connections. Okay, let's take it on and we'll go straight to the chase and we'll look at LinkedIn. This is LinkedIn. I'm logged in as myself and this is my profile. And here we go. So how do we search LinkedIn? Well, up on the top right-hand corner, I can see my people search. I'm looking for, we're actually recruiting at the moment, we're looking for some MySQL PHP developers. So if I was to type in MySQL and hit enter, it's going to come back and get me results. I found 239,000 people. You see the results section there that are associated with, oh, sorry, pressing things randomly on my screen. That are associated with this search result. As you can see, I'm getting, this is one of the things LinkedIn is now doing. It's giving me the first name but not the surname. There are ways and means, and we'll talk about this later on, of finding out the full name of that person and being able to connect to them. It also doesn't allow me, it used to allow me, because I'm a group connection with this person, in other words, this person and myself share a group, to be able to send a message. Now, unfortunately, LinkedIn is only allowing me to send email. Again, there are ways and means of getting around that, but I don't think we'll have time today to be able to talk about that. Okay, let me look at what else am I going to do. Obviously, this I can define it down a little bit more on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. Say, for example, I'm only interested in people in Ireland that might be involved in this. Then I can reduce my search down and filter it down, and now I've only got 1,466 results. So I can hone in a bit better. You can see some of these people are group connections. Some of these people, Trevor here, is a second-degree connection away from me. Okay, now I'll show you a few other bits and pieces because this is quite useful. LinkedIn also has some operators that you can use up in this top right-hand section. And so I could have, instead of having to search on the right-hand side for Ireland, I could have said country, colon, Ireland. And then MySQL, and it should give me this sort of result. It gives me exactly the same result. But there are some operators that LinkedIn allows you to use that it doesn't allow you to use on the left-hand side as a free account user. And one of the most useful ones is joined. If I say joined colon W, that means show me all the people that have joined LinkedIn in the last week. Okay, I don't have the last week. Let's try the last month, which is M. Okay, and I've got 10 results of people that have joined LinkedIn in the last month whose country is Ireland, and they've got MySQL in their profile. So that's a really useful way of being able to narrow down your search and see new people that are coming onto the marketplace.
Shane,
now,
just to before you go on, just to add to that, just while you were running that that search, the joined one, that is actually a paid-for filter. So if you have a free account like most people have, you would not be able to filter the results down by people that's joined within the last day, week, 2 weeks, month, 3 months, because it's a paid-for filter. And you can see it's on the side there. Shane has got it, it's blanked out, but you can see because he put in joined, colon, and then M for month, you can see the 15 to 30 days is ticked. So that's a nice way of getting around not paying for a profile, but getting some of the functionality.
Maybe I should also say at this point in time, we'd be grateful if any of you write blogs or put anything up on the internet, please don't mention that because LinkedIn does monitor what we do. We're fairly sure that they're not listening to this particular webinar from an audio point of view, but I wouldn't put that up on a notes section. And the reason being is because if LinkedIn realize you can do that, they haven't realized it yet, they're probably going to plug that hole. And it's not really in our interests as people in the industry to point this out to them. So just be a little bit wary about telling people about that, but it is a really useful thing to be able to do. There's a few things like that that they just haven't spotted yet, and I'll show you a few more of those. Actually, let's show you one of these now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this Ireland bit, and we'll just go for let's go for a job of a person. These are these, and what I want to do is find just my third level recruitment contacts. Okay, these are third level connections, and as you can see, I don't have a surname for them because LinkedIn is now limiting my ability to see a surname. But if I go to Steve here, there is a way that I can easily find out his surname. And the way you do it, this is another bug on LinkedIn that we know how to get around. You click on go to the profile of a third-degree connection, click on the Get Introduced Through a Connection section. It says Steve C, but if I hold my cursor over it, it'll give me his full name. So we've got Steve Cruz. And this is, again, another little bug that happens in LinkedIn that they haven't spotted yet. So I can't guarantee it's going to be there next week, but it's there at the moment. So if it's there, you know, it's a way to take advantage and make use of it.
Sure, Shane, just to add,
the other things I want.
Sorry, just to add to that as well, if you take the same, if you open, let's say you open Steve's, his profile, another way to get around it is also, especially if you don't have any names, is to take a piece of the text, maybe from his summary profile, or just if you scroll down to any piece of text on that screen, and you put that in a search engine like Bing. Now, if you run the search now, it will also give you the full name there. There we go. Yeah. There's Steve Cruz.
There you are. This is. I was going to move on to that, which
sorry.
brings me nicely on to what this is. That's okay, because this is another aspect of LinkedIn. One thing LinkedIn is brilliant at is ranking very highly on search engines. And the reason that it can do that is because, one, it produces a whole lot of what are called public profiles for people on it. And the public profiles, even though it limits my ability to see Steve through LinkedIn, I can go in and have a look at his public profile, which will have all his details. From his public profile, I can move on to his full profile. And here we've got a full profile telling me he's a third connection. But look, I get his full name, and I can also get some better connection details. Compare that, if you will, very quickly, just moving between the two. Look what happens. If I search through LinkedIn and go to his full profile, through my login, I'm limited to see his surname, but if I search through Bing or Google or find a public profile and move in that way, I get his full surname. What else do I get? Sometimes you also get, yeah, I've got his public profile appearing. Sometimes you also get Twitter details or other connections, other ways of getting in there. So if you can't get through to somebody through LinkedIn, take a detail from the profile and search it through a search engine, and you'll probably get more information from it. Okay, what else was I going to say? Yeah, one of the other things about searching, sorry, I'm moving off the thing here, is that you've got to remember that people don't create profiles on LinkedIn the way that they write a CV. Whenever you're writing a CV, you're doing it because you're looking for a job and you want to send it to an employer. And if you're a good candidate, you'll, as we all know, you'll write a CV that's specific for a particular role. But people tend not to do that with LinkedIn. People tend to create a profile on LinkedIn because somebody invites them to connect, so they create a profile, they put minimal details in, and they don't necessarily care that much. So most of the profiles on LinkedIn aren't kept massively up to date, aren't massively well populated. So whenever you go searching, you've got to be quite aware of the fact that the obvious keyword I'm looking for here, Java, may not appear if they're a Java developer. So you also got to be aware that let's go looking for other words. So instead of looking for Java, I could have looked for J2EE. Okay, and I'll find a whole lot of people. But obviously those people won't necessarily may be also appearing on a Java search. But I can use a -Java keyword, and that means I'm looking for J2EE without Java. And this also highlights other areas of the LinkedIn search, which I suppose are false hits. Because if I did this earlier, if I go on to Buster Fox here, it doesn't have Java in his main profile, so that's correct, but it does mention Java because he's in the Java developers group. So it just shows you that the LinkedIn natural search doesn't really pull up every keyword. It goes looking for some profile details and tries to get a good match, but it isn't correct. And this is a person that is obviously a Java developer because they do J2EE, but it doesn't say Java on his profile. So that's just some of the other limitations on searching. Right, let me go in and we'll do, let's ask the obvious question, what do you do when you find a profile? Now, for those of you who are not intelligence customers, I just want to show you intelligence, because this is what we do. This is how we make money. And if you really want to be kind to us, you can come and talk to us and buy some of our products and spend some money with us, which would be lovely. and this is what you get for it. This is intelligence. Intelligence is an information management system for recruitment companies. Okay, and it's there, one, to record information, but that's a basic requirement. What we're really interested in doing is helping you make more placements by doing something useful with that information. And we're not going to give you a demonstration of intelligence now. If you'd like to see our products in detail and understand how they really make you a lot of money, then give us a call and we'll do that at a separate time. But we're just going to use intelligence at this moment in time to show how it links into LinkedIn and how you can make something from that information. This is our candidate screen on intelligence. I'll give you a quick overview. The name of the candidate's at the top, a very attractive photograph of myself because I'm this candidate. Contact details down the left-hand side, and the green bit in the middle is a sort of a profile. You don't need it to be there, but it's useful to be able to say this person's no good to me and reject them and move on, which is about being fast. You've got a full CV attached, and you can look at that at any time. Okay, that's intelligence, candidate screen. Let me show you one of our other tools. This is a LinkedIn search tool. And all I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to type in Java and I'm going to search LinkedIn. I press the search LinkedIn button. It'll open up a browser. My computer's running quite slowly because we're doing screen sharing and audio and all the rest of it, but there we go, it opens up. And it does my Java search. Now I can refine this search and do more with it and try and get more results. Let's just pick someone. I don't know who this person is, but we're going to pick this person here. Let's say, I look at this person, I found this person, I think he's great. I want to put him into the database. I click on the button Import Candidate. It says Importing. Give it a second. It then says a new candidate has been created. Move back to the intelligence screen, and there he is. All his information has been pulled in, his photograph. We haven't got contact details on this particular profile, which is unfortunate, but if we had contact details, we would pull those in. We've got all his details. We even pull in references. This person doesn't have references, but it's quite useful if they do. From this, what do we then do with it? How do we get this person out? Well, intelligence has a formatted CV function. So if I click on Format CV, it opens up a Word document, and it populates a CV go with our content. And all people, their CVs need tidied up a bit, but this guy's information put through, which may not be a finished article as a CV, but it's certainly a starting point. And that's just 2 clicks. 1 click to pull the candidate in, and 1 click to create a formatted CV. They're in your system. They're available to search. All your other consultants can find that person. Obviously, you need to connect with them to try and get some sort of relationship with them to understand who they are. But this starts the process, and it's a really powerful way of using LinkedIn, integrating it into your information management system. It becomes a candidate of your own. You can now do things with them. Anything more to add to that, Virpia, or does that seem...
No, that's just one thing, Shane. If whenever you're moving between screens or your computer is working, the sound tends to dip down as well. So as long as whenever your process is engaged, the sound quality dips. So try not to press too many buttons.
Okay. If I get carried away, please jump in and stop me. Right. Now what will we do? Let's talk about searching LinkedIn in other ways, and let's talk about this Xray search. Okay, Xray search is a wonderful term, and it's very simple, because what it means is, let me just move over to Google. All it means is using a search engine to search a specific website. So, for example, if I type in Java into Google, I'm going to get 372 million results. Now that's far too many. This is the problem with search. It isn't a problem about finding what you want. It's a problem about not finding what you don't want. And that, it used to be a case where information was a scarce resource and valuable. Now information is not a scarce resource, and it is not valuable. What is valuable is your ability to get value from that information. So all the search engines we're going to talk about today, which is Google and Bing, allow you to use an operator. And the operator is called site : and then you can put in the site that you want to search. So if I want to say www. Actually, I won't do that. I'll just go LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com, Java. And now what I'm getting is 1 million results, but they're all off the LinkedIn website. Now, one of the things we mentioned earlier on was this notion of a search engine that finds a public profile. You remember Steve Cruz here, whenever I searched for his name, it came up and it gave me a public profile. Everybody on LinkedIn, as well as having a full profile, you can see the view full profile, also has a public profile. And the public profiles are stored in particular domains or basically some sections of the LinkedIn website. And so rather than just searching the site linkedin.com, if I want, say, somebody in South Africa, I don't search linkedin.com, I think za.linkedin.com. And rather than having over 1 million results now, I'm only getting people or websites that are based in South Africa, and I've only got 10,800 results. Well, that's a much better improvement on what we've got. And I can see, so if I click on this person's name, it's going to bring me to a public profile for this person, Senior Java Developer. That was quick, that was easy, and it's a very, very efficient way of doing it. We're also getting some other pages here. This, for example, isn't a profile, it's a company page. Okay, so that's sort of a page that I don't want. We also get directory pages. This is a directory page. I don't know this as I'm clicking on it. So I'm just going to stop as my browser does things to make sure you can hear me. Is that I notice that in the page, if it's a public profile, it says PUB, or it says IM, which is like that one. If it's a company page, it says company. If it's a directory page, it says DIR. And I can actually remove some of these pages using another Google operator. There's another Google operator called in URL, and I could say in URL dir, and it's going to find me all the web pages that are directory listings, i.e. all the pages that have dir in this domain name or this URL. If I want to find all the pages that don't have dir in it, I just put a minus sign in front of it. And now I'm getting all the non-directory pages. This is brand new, by the way, for LinkedIn, because as of last week it didn't do this. It didn't give me company or group results. So now I'm also going to have to do in URL company. And that should remove the company pages as well. And now I'm getting a better result. There's a groups page, so let's remove groups.
Shane, could you just, a couple of questions coming in regarding that minus operators, the in URL operators. Could you just elaborate a bit more on, you know, the thought process behind it in terms of why do you use it, and, you know, how it's used in terms of what the minus sign stands for, and in URL and site and all the other minus and pluses and squigglies that's available? Sure.
These are operators, and where it says site colon or it says in URL colon, there's a whole lot more. But what they allow you to do is direct the search engine. So it's not a case where I'm looking for the phrase in URL. It's not going to appear on somebody's website. It's an instruction to Google to say, what I want to do is I want you to do something specific. And a URL, this thing that you type in at the top of a browser, the www.google. That's called a URL. Okay, and if you're using the site operator in URL, it means that I want the following phrase to appear in the URL of the website. And within these LinkedIn pages, I can see that you're getting PUB is appearing there, IN is appearing there. Those are public profiles of candidates. If DIR appeared or company appeared or groups appeared, then it's not going to be a public profile. So if I want to find something, I use in URL or site, for example. If I didn't want to find it, I just put a minus sign in front of it, and that means exclude these sites. Does that answer the question, Pierre?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Cool. Okay. One of the nice things you can do with this is that, say once I find my Java developer, I'm just going to go onto this public profile. As we saw earlier on when we wanted to find third-degree connections, you can put in specific things on people's websites that are going to come up. Some of the stuff I want you to particularly look out for, and let's see if this person has it. No, okay. This person is involved in a group called the Proudly South African Information Technology Professionals. If I'm going to select some of that, let's see if I can. No, I can't. Okay, let's use our group. Say, for example, I want to find all the people that are members of the South African Recruiters Group. Chances are the phrase South African Recruiters Group is going to appear on their public profile. So if I type in South African Recruiters, on the za.linkedin.com, I'm getting 2,700 results. Chances are all those people are members of our group. If I click on, I happen to know Stuart Hooks and knows in our group. If I scroll down his profile, there you can see one of his groups is mentioned is the South African Recruiters Group. So with Xray searching, you can find people that are part of groups, and this should be part of your search strategy. You know, whenever you go looking for your keywords, you want to look at those people and see how are they related to other people. I could look for companies, so who works for a particular company. If I want to say, right, who works in F&B? Okay, now I'm getting people's profiles that work in those sites. Does that make sense? Okay, let me I just want to develop this Xray searching a little bit more because I want to talk about another search engine, which is Bing. Now, most people need to use Google. I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about using Bing as well, because this search, Bing tends to do better. If I repeat the search in Bing, I'm going to get different results. In this case, I've got 500 results as opposed to Google's 17,000 results. Now, you'll saw on the South African Recruiters Group search that I did that I got 2,700 results. Well, the South African Recruiters Group doesn't have 2,700 members. So Google has a tendency to give you more false hits than Bing does. Bing tends to be a bit better. Bing does not allow you to use this in URL filter. It doesn't have that operator. So probably the best way to remove directory listings is simply use -dir, and it will remove the directory pages. One thing that Bing has that Google doesn't have is called proximity searching, and this is really, really useful, because if you go into a public profile, you'll see that it's print, and then it gives you a job title. And with proximity searching, you can do this. You can go current, near, colon, I'll say 4 words, and I want director. I'm going to remove F&B at this moment in time because I just want to see what comes up. So I'm going to find public profiles where the word director is near the word current, and chances are these are going to be directors. Let's try find something else. So you can, with our proximity search, it's a really useful way of being able to search particular websites. We're going to talk about LinkedIn today, so I'm not going to mention Twitter except here. If you want to find Twitter pages where the bio says director on it, there's the result. Twitter pages where bio and director are the same thing. So it's a really good way of trying to get hold of, to do really clever searching of specific websites to try and get more value from what you're looking for. Have you got anything more to add to that, Virpia?
No. If you can just slow it down just a tiny bit. I think there's still some screens catching up.
Okay. Well, what I'll do then is that I'll show you one other tool we have that tries to utilize the power of Xray searches for LinkedIn. This is another product that we developed really to try and pull people in bulk and enabling our customers to do Xray searches easily and then pull people in from it. So let's try this. Let's say I'm looking for a Java person and I'm looking for them in South Africa. All I have to do is type in Java and select South Africa. Step 1, I'm going to do an Xray search for public profiles. So all I have to do is press search for public profiles. It'll open up Internet Explorer. It'll go to Google. It'll put in my Xray search and it'll find me some results. At this point in time, I may want to refine it and do better with it, but you can see I've pulled in results. I'm going to go back to my tool. Once I have those people, step number 2 of this tool does a really clever thing, which is to scrape those results and try and find all the public profiles. And here we have all the public profiles that I found on Google. Now I've got Google only returning 10 results here, but I could go in and set Google to give me 100 results, and I can actually get up to 1,000 results from one Google search. So this is how we can pull in thousands of people that meet a particular criteria. I don't have time to do that right now, so I'm going to remove some of these people, and then I'm going to go step number 3, which is import all profiles. As I press this button, then the tool does something clever. Put up a browser, it goes to the public profile, it goes to the full profile through my account. It does a duplication check just in case I've already pulled this person in, and then it's going to import that profile in Intelligence. If I go back over to Intelligence, you can see how it's pulling in these people. Let me just remove that. And it'll work its way through Richard, and hopefully it'll then come up with Colin. Wonderful. Now as you can see, it's pulling in all these details of all these people. Let me show you something else we can do that's useful out of this. Now I mentioned earlier, LinkedIn is brilliant for people giving you referrals. On a lot of profiles they'll ask, can you recommend us, whatever. And they get recommended by somebody they know. Very often it's somebody who's more senior than them, somebody who's maybe their employer, maybe their boss. That is massively valuable information to you. And Intelligence separates this out and puts it into their reference detail. This person's given one reference. I'm just going to copy the name of the employer because I want to show you something else really exciting that happens. I'm going to move over to the one other screen Intelligence has, which is your client screen. So these are all the companies that you may recruit for or may have prospects or whatever. I'm going to create a new company, and I'm just going to use the name of that reference. As soon as I create the company, there's a brand new company on the system. I don't have any contact information for them. But Intelligence immediately tells me who I know that works there. So it's doing a CV search and finding this candidate called Colin Webber, who's working for them. And it also gives me the name of Jenny here, who's a referee. And if I click on the name, it tells me that it's Colin as her referee. So what we're trying to do is say, whenever you look at a company, what do we know about that company? We know everybody, all the candidates who work there. We know all the referees who work there. We know anybody where the company name appears on the CV. And the one other thing that we do directly from Intelligence is you open up a LinkedIn window. I don't think this is going to work for this client because that's not a proper client name. And it'll tell me anybody that I'm connected to, either by first, second, or third degree connections who work for that company. So it gives you all your ways of doing business development, all the ways of trying to find out who works there. You immediately know the job titles of the people that work there, so you immediately know the types of people they recruit. You can get connections in there, and it's a really powerful way of doing business in a much smarter way of doing it. The good recruiters in the world always do this anyway. Immediately you start remembering how you connect into a client. But you know, this is a way to try and make it automatable, to try and make it, you can exception report on it, you can search for these opportunities. So it's about trying to make your business work in a more effective way and work more productively. Virpia, how are we doing? Any more?
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, Jen, I mean, that functionality becomes really useful in terms of, because we've got the same integration with other sources like Career Junction and PNet and Careers24, which you can also import candidates that apply to you for a job. So if you add the two together now, where you've got LinkedIn and you're searching for people, obviously with this example you were looking for Java developers. You place an ad for Java developers, people are going to start coming into the database. And it gets useful now because we use the information in a clever way where we're starting to cross-reference the people that came in, the companies where they worked, and also the references. So immediately your visibility of the market in terms of the people that are Java developers and the people on their CVs and the people that they know, you are increasing your network 3 to 5-fold by just using the information in a clever way. And that's where you're going to get most of those passive career seekers that everyone is always after.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, you know, what we do with regard to information management is about creating visibility of what's going on, and the visibility and the cleverness comes from all this cross-referencing. I mean, that's why LinkedIn works. Intelligence was developed before LinkedIn, by the way, so, you know, this notion of cross-referencing is something that the recruitment industry has always been able to do, but it never had the tools to do it. It was always able to say, right, once you know one person, you immediately know the companies they work for and can make a guess as to who they would know in those companies. So immediately you've got automatic ways of connecting people, and the power of understanding who knows who else is really, really useful from a recruitment point of view. Okay, let's move on from our Xray searches, and we'll just do one other little thing that I'm going to talk about. Whenever we're doing these searches, you know, it's really useful in that, okay, I now know who the Java developers are. We saw earlier on with the joined operator in LinkedIn how you can say, okay, I just want to see those people who have created profiles on LinkedIn or joined LinkedIn within the last period of time. And that's really useful because of the fact that you want to be kept informed as to what's new and what's changing. And whenever you do these searches, you can do a search to say, okay, I want to see who's joined this company, whatever. But what's really useful is being able to get a system that automatically alerts you when somebody new appears. And you can do that. And the way you do it is with a really simple way is using Google Alerts. A lot of people set up Google Alerts just to say, I mean, I follow my own name to see anybody talking about me or our own company. We follow industry trends to see who's talking about recruitment software. That's really, really useful to keep on top of the industry. But you can also use these Xray searches. And if you use an Xray search of LinkedIn, it'll tell you, it'll send you an email every time somebody's profile now gets indexed by Google. And so what I'll do is I'll just put an Xray search in, site, : let's go for the UK, so I'll go uk.linkedin.com and say I'm looking for recruiters. Let's say recruitment consultant. So I'm just saying anytime a new page appears on the uk.linkedin.com saying recruitment consultant, I want to know about it. Tell me every day, everything we know, email me about it, I'll create an alert, and now I'm going to get a Google alert every day. There it is there. These are some of my other Google alerts. Recruitment consultant, it'll email me the best of the results once a day to my email address. And so I'm going to get a constant stream of new people coming on board. You can set up Google Alerts. You know, if there's 5 or 6 or 10 things that you regularly recruit for, set up Google Alerts just to be informed as to who's coming onto the marketplace. Whenever you see somebody new profile appears, get in touch with them, say, I just seen you've changed something in your profile. If you're interested in exploring this marketplace or whatever, let me know. And it's about keeping on top of things, getting the internet to be proactive and contact you. Good, Pierre. Do you have anything more to add to Google Alerts?
Yeah, I mean, just the way I use Google Alerts as well is I tend to follow a lot of conversation on social sites like Facebook and Twitter, as well as LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So I use a tool called hootsuite.com, which is kind of a dashboard for all your all the key phrases you're looking for into one place, and it creates different streams. And what I do is just create or just get the RSS feed from my Google Alerts, so it doesn't clog up my email address, and I just get it into Hootsuite every day, check it once or twice a day, and it's really displayed in an easy way to make sense of the information, because Google Alerts can tend to get boring if you get 10, 15 emails a day, and displaying it in that way, it tends to make it easier to read and easier to follow.
Sure. I didn't want to confuse people, but yes, absolutely, you can set up a Google Alert, so rather than sending you an email, it'll send an RSS feed through, and then you can look at that as an RSS reader, and then obviously you can pile them all into one thing. There's all sorts of clever stuff you can subsequently do with RSS, but that's probably a conversation for another day. Okay, so just finally, this is all our contact details. We do these webinars predominantly just to try and help people out and try and help their industry want to do more. We've shown a few of our products today, which is hopefully of interest and relevant to the topic of conversation, although a lot of the webinars we do don't show any of our products at all. If you want more information about us, then our website is intel-sw.com. Probably the best thing to do is just give us a call or send us an email. I've put up some information on today's conversation, and I've put it on a page, intel-sw.com/sourcingblog.php. You can type that in directly, or you can go to our website, intel-sw.com, click on blogs, and then go to the sourcing section. So it's there. It was put together. It's not totally comprehensive of what we've been talking about, because I don't want to tell LinkedIn what we're doing, but also just because I hasn't totally comprehensive, and we do vary things and move them on. If you want to get more involved in LinkedIn, if you want to grow your network connection, and you're listening to this webinar, two people that are very easy to connect to are both myself and Pierre. We've got massive connections, networks, so if you connect to us, then there must be some value in doing so. Please do so. If anybody is in South Africa and you're not already a member, please join the South African Recruiters Group. It's a wonderful forum. We share a lot of this information about sourcing there, but so many other people share information as well about the industry, and it's a really good way to keep in touch with the industry and see what's going on, and we hope it's going to be the portal of choice for the industry in South Africa. Wonderful. I think we've got a couple more minutes for you, Pierre. Is there any questions, answers, comments that have come in over the stream so far?
Yes, they have. Just asking, I mean, you did two searches. The one was on LinkedIn itself, where you used your profile. The other one was done via Google or Bing. What are the advantages and disadvantages of doing one or the other? If you can just go on why you went through Xray versus not staying on the LinkedIn site itself.
Okay, there are different benefits and disadvantages to each of those things. And it's really down to the results that you get. So you will get different results from each one. I would have a tendency to use Xray search, which is either through, and I tend to use Bing to do it, because that seems to be getting the best results at the moment. Google's also good. The problem with searching through LinkedIn is that it limits your results to 100 profiles if you're on a free account. It tends to put the people you're most closely connected to first, and from a recruitment point of view, you tend to want to get the people that you're not directly connected to, because you'll assume you know those people anyway. You're generally looking for new people. Some of the operators on LinkedIn are quite useful, like that joined one. So I mean, I think that's probably one of the primary reasons you would want to use LinkedIn search as opposed to an Xray search. The difference between Google and Bing is, as you can see, you get different results. At the moment, Bing seems to be that little bit better, and because of that near operator, it seems to be quite useful. Google doesn't have an equivalent of near officially. It sort of does, in that there are a few there's an operator called, I think it's called Around, but it's totally undocumented. Google hasn't released it, doesn't mention it anywhere. You don't know about it, other than the fact that I happened to meet somebody who knew about it and he told me. And Around is like a proximity search for Google, but unfortunately, it's not that reliable. It doesn't seem to want to work very well. And what seems to be the case is either some Google developer sometime developed it but didn't tell anybody, and it's there, but it doesn't seem to want to work. Bing's near operator is just that much more reliable, and all you do is first word, space, near, colon, the number of words, 3 or 4 is usually useful, and then the word that you're looking for. It does give some negative hits because it doesn't care whether it's in a forward or backwards direction, but it's really, really useful, and it will give you good quality positive results in the first search.
Another quick question, which is, and we get a lot of these questions that comes up quite a bit in terms of people getting quite frustrated with trying to contact people via LinkedIn but not getting a response. So is there any way that you can improve your response rate that you could give advice to? I know my preference is normally whenever I run a search and I'm looking for people to contact them, I normally sort my results by connections, because that gives me a fair indication as to what people are on LinkedIn on a regular basis. So I know they would respond much quicker than the guy that's further down the line with maybe 2 or 3 connections that maybe logs into LinkedIn, I don't know, once a month, once every 2 months, and it's probably linked to his Yahoo or Gmail address, so he probably doesn't even see the email. So that's one way I would look at it. Shane, have you got anything to add to getting people to respond to emails and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to bear in mind that people don't necessarily keep their LinkedIn profiles up to date. And the other thing you've got to bear in mind is that if you're in a company and you create a profile, then maybe your email address is of that company. If you then leave that company and go somewhere else, do you still have access to your own LinkedIn profile? So I suspect there's a lot of LinkedIn profiles that are maintained within the company. There are some companies are even insisting that the LinkedIn profile is set up on a company email address, and so that an employee of the company cannot leave and take 1,000 connections with them, who would be, I assume, achieved as a result of working in that company. Probably the best thing to do is just use other forms of searching. Just Google their name. There are other websites like people.com that give full search of people in terms of, you put a name in there and where they are, and it'll just do the internet searches to find all sorts of information on it. There's a whole range of other ways in which you can find people, not through LinkedIn, and I would try and use other mechanisms to do so. One of the things you also were talking about, Virpir, is, if you also go looking for words like email or telephone associated with their name, then you'll tend to find sites that may have an email address for them or a telephone number for them.
Yeah, I mean,
that's also quite useful too.
Yeah, that is quite useful. I mean, just if you run the search with their name and you put in the words email or email : and you use the @ and then also the domain name of the company. If you know the person is with abccompany.com, add that to the search as well, and you're more than likely to either get a Twitter name or an email address or a phone number. Probably 80-85% of the times you'll get something in which you can use some sort of medium to get hold of the candidate.
Yeah, you can also take a guess. If somebody works in Microsoft, and this person called Bill Gates works there, and then you do a search for the domain name to find the other email addresses. If you realize that the email addresses are all surname dot first name, say, then you've got a fair idea that Bill's email address is going to be gates.bill@microsoft.com. So you can take educated guesses about it. This is really where you start the detective work of being a sourcer, and the art and the skill of sourcing comes in. This is probably a conversation for another day, though. So we'll be running more webinars in the very near future on this topic. Today was a little bit of a repeat of a previous webinar we did. Hopefully we've introduced enough new stuff to keep those who attended the first one interested. We'll do more webinars over the next few weeks, probably looking at searching other sites like Twitter, Facebook, other search techniques. And we'll see if there's an interest in that. If people are interested, let us know. If there are things you want, if you're not interested, let us know as well, and we'll try and do something you are interested in. Please get in touch with us if you're interested in finding out more about what we do or any of our other products. Please give us a call. That's the Cape Town numbers there, but you can call me in the UK office numbers. All our contact details are on the website. And that's about us for today. Thank you all very much for your time. Thank you, Virpir. Have you got anything last to add in?
Just a quick poll. Last one we've got just on the screen. Just anyone that's interested in what we had to say today, or you want to know more about intelligence, let us know, and I'm sure we will be in touch in the near future.
Okay, and Virpir, are you going to stay online for the next 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah.
If anybody's got any more questions they want to ask, Virpir will be online. Just type in a question and we'll do our best to answer it, or we'll just email it to us and connect to us on LinkedIn, and we look forward to speaking to everybody very, very soon.
Fantastic. Like Shane said, I'll be online for the next probably 5 minutes or so. So if you've got any questions, fire them through and I'll answer them as best I can.